I'm Laura Gardner. I'm a third year in Dr. Steve Jacobson's lab. And today I'd like to tell you about my research in super deep diamonds. I spent a lot of time this summer on my primary project, which is the search for hydrosilicates in diamond inclusions. And I have at my disposal a suite of 50 diamonds that we believe originated in the mantle. These come from Juína, Brazil. And I want to try to identify as many inclusions within these diamonds as possible, in the hopes that I will find a water-bearing phase or an OH-bearing phase that came from the transition zone or lower mantle. And this will help me ultimately just contribute to the knowledge and constraints of the amount of water in the deep earth. And later on, I can maybe do some hydrogen isotope work to see how much of the water has seen our surface before and how much of this is primordial hydrogen. But the first steps in this process are just figuring out what's in these diamonds, because that can be tricky. So first we do inclusion mapping with synchrotron microtomography. And then I can move on to synchrotron X-ray diffraction and Raman spectroscopy to actually identify each inclusion. Next slide, please. So most of this work has to be done at Argonne. And I've done a few runs of tomography and XRD over the summer. And I did find some phases that could be retrograde assemblages of lower or close to lower mantle minerals, but I have to do more work to say anything about that conclusively. But in the process of collecting this data, I was actually able to obtain the highest images that have ever been obtained at our typical microtomography beamline at Argonne. And this isn't because of experimental design changes that I made. I just benefited from them. But because I was one of the first users to get these super high-res microtomography images, I got to present that work at Compress, the Consortium for Materials Properties Research in Earth Sciences this summer. And this is great because this extra high resolution shows us polyphase inclusions that are smaller than 10 microns within these diamonds. And so it kind of just opens up more regions of each of these small diamonds that we can probe to try to look for these really interesting mineral phases. I also formulated my second project this summer. I'm going to be working with Neil Blair to do FTIR on the host diamonds themselves. And this is cool because this is going to enable me to figure out some of the highest temperatures that these diamonds have seen, how long they've actually been in the mantle, how long they were there, the type of each diamond. And then I can look at these 50 diamonds and maybe identify genetic groups and diamonds that originated around the same place in the same time and came up in the same kimberlitic eruption. So specifically, I'll be using FTIR mapping to measure nitrogen content, nitrogen aggregation state, and hopefully find other impurities in the diamonds that might tell an interesting story. These samples are rare, so extracting as much information as possible with non-destructive methods is super important, and I'm really excited to see what I find. With that, I'll take any questions.